The term philosophy means the love of wisdom. In a broad sense, philosophy is basically just an activity that people undertake when they want to understand fundamental truths about themselves and about the world they live in. Also about their relationships with each other and their relationship with the world around them. As an academic discipline, philosophy is not much different. People who study philosophy are perpetually engaged in asking, answering, and arguing their answers to life's most basic questions. Different areas of philosophy are distinguished by the questions that they ask. Questions such as, do our senses accurately describe reality? What makes wrong actions wrong? Or how should we live? These are all philosophical questions, and people who study philosophy are basically trying to learn better ways in which we may even just start to answer those questions, or even just ask them better. I'm going to explain why it is very important for everyone, especially young people, to study philosophy, and why it's important to address these questions in our everyday lives as we go on our paths, regardless of what those paths may be. So, do our senses accurately describe reality? This probably sounds like a ridiculous question. It probably sounds like a rhetorical question. It might even sound like a sarcastic question. However, if you honestly ask yourself this question in your day-to-day life, it can have a lot of benefits. Asking yourself whether or not what you're seeing, what you're reading, what you're hearing is an accurate portrayal of reality will drastically help your ability to use critical thinking. What makes wrong actions wrong? Again, sounds like a very simple, very obvious question. It sounds like a question that you've probably heard a lot of people ask. It's obviously a question that there are a lot of different answers to, but just keeping this simple question in your mind will help you evaluate, why you may think something is wrong. It'll help you use critical thinking in understanding and critiquing beliefs you have. We all have beliefs. Some of us, I would imagine most of us, have beliefs that we've probably never stopped to critique. We've never stopped to really carefully think about, why do I have that belief? Why do I think that is wrong? And questioning those beliefs does not really have to equate to doubting what you believe. It doesn't even have to equate to doubting what other people believe. It can simply mean trying to gain a better understanding of why I believe that, or why this person believes that. And if, after some careful thought, you really kind of break down some of those beliefs, beliefs about why you think this is bad, or why they think this is bad. If after some careful thought you decide, I don't actually agree with that belief that I have, or that they have, then that's okay. And if after careful thought you decide, I actually do agree with this thought, this belief that I have, then good. Then that belief will hopefully better serve you in your life moving forward, rather than just being a black and white reflexive belief that you have that you can't really explain. So, how should we live? It's kind of the main goal, the main question, right? Here we go again with another obvious, oversimplified sounding question. Another question that we know it's been asked hundreds and thousands of times throughout, hundreds of thousands of years of history. And there's been hundreds and thousands of answers to this question. So much so that it might even sound like an act of futility to even ask it, you know? It might even sound like a waste of time. It might sound like you're just kind of spinning your gears to even stop to ask these types of questions, right? And it doesn't really have to be that way. Even if you're not going around asking people how should we live, or you're not, getting on your MacBook at 3 a.m. and writing papers about how you think people should live or how you think you should live, just having that type of simple thought in your mind, whether it be while you're driving to work or to school, or while you're sitting in church or wherever, it will just help you to maybe take in knowledge in a way that can better suit your pursuits to answer these questions. So, maintaining a constant curiosity is basically what it is. Not just moving forward with the tools that you already have that were already, in your toolbox from long ago, and just pushing forward without ever kind of stopping and pausing and looking around and wondering, am I seeing things clearly? Am I understanding things clearly? Do I even understand clearly what I think? And that sounds a little complicated and sounds like it can get kind of messy, and it can. And part of that is the beauty of philosophy. Anyone who has kind of dabbled in philosophy knows philosophical debates and philosophical discussions can get messy. And you have to be willing to kind of take off the gloves and get messy a little bit. You can leave the emotions out of it. You can leave the emotional, heartfelt quarrels out of it. And even if those happen, it's fine. As long as it's, at the end of the day, moving you towards understanding something better, understanding the person you're having that argument with better, rather than just trying to push your thoughts that you haven't carefully critiqued, or maybe you have, onto that person. It's all about, what can I learn? What can I learn about what I think? What can I learn about what they think? And at the end of the day, if that is your goal and you're willing to ask yourself those questions just as much as you're willing to ask other people those questions, then that is doing philosophy, and that is extremely important. And like I said, regardless of whatever your path in life is, whether you want to be an engineer, whether you want to be a doctor, a nurse, a pro baseball player, whether you want to be a kindergarten teacher, whether you want to be a car mechanic, having these simple questions in your mind all the time will help you regardless of what the path you take. Questions like, am I seeing things clearly? Or what I'm seeing, what I'm reading, what I'm hearing, am I interpreting these things correctly? Am I interpreting them clearly? Is it reality? And a good example I can think of off the top of my head is the news, right? Extrapolating what is factual, what is propaganda, what's rhetoric, what is just flat out lies. And the news, especially these days, is very difficult. And I'm not going to sit here and say that studying philosophy is going to make you some expert in being able to extrapolate facts from fiction, or to disseminate everything you hear and be able to pick apart what's false and what's not. However, having that sense of self-awareness, that simple sense of self-awareness to ask yourself, am I hearing that clearly? Am I understanding that clearly? Rather than have reflexive, confidence in everything you hear without using critical thinking. And critical thinking, at the end of the day, is the most important aspect of this. To be able to stop, pause, and just chew on something for a while before you basically before you swallow it. I don't expect all of you to leave this class and run to your advisor's office and change your major to philosophy. In fact, I'm pretty confident none of you will. Heck, I don't even know if I'm going to stay a philosophy major. It's pretty tough and it's messy, but I have grown to love philosophy the more I study it. And you go way back to Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, these ancient philosophers who really started the game, all the way up until your more modern philosophers like Rawls, Edmund Burke, people like that, John Mills, John Locke. These are people who have, just within the last 100, 200 years, have heavily shaped the way democracy works, the way we look at capitalism, the way we look at, Karl Marx. You might disagree with communism, you might agree with it, but that was groundbreaking stuff, and that wasn't that long ago. So it is a very important field of study, not just for, government reasons or financial reasons, but it's an important field of study that can create a very healthy, a very fertile soil in which your individual field, your individual path can grow in a very healthy way. Just by, like I said, asking these questions. Am I seeing things clearly? Am I reading this clearly? Am I understanding reality? Why do I disagree with this? Why do they disagree with this? Why do they disagree with that? How should we live? How should I live? Always asking yourself those questions. And I think that's a very beneficial thing. And I think that more young people should just give philosophy a shot, even if it's just, surface level, shallow into the pool type philosophy. It can be very, very beneficial to you and your individual goals. Thank you.